on, don't do it. What's up, everybody? It's your boy David Mitchell, aka Dirty Mitch, on this wonderful Sunday afternoon, June 1st of the year 2025. I got my boy in studio again, Drake from LA. How you doing this weekend, Drake?
I'm doing pretty well this weekend,
That,
David.
that's
Yeah,
good. That's good, guy. We was just talking before we started. Uh, got you about a week or so of school left, and then it's summertime, right?
yep. I'm
Bet,
excited.
that's what I was going to say. I bet you're excited for that. I tell you what, though, enjoy it while you're your age. One thing that kids, I at least my generation, I'm sure your dad can attest to this, is we wanted to be grown so quick. Then we get there and it's like, whoa, wait a minute. Enjoy when and we had the same people telling us, hey, enjoy it while you're young, because once it's
Mhm.
gone, it's gone. Hey, here's a life lesson real quickly before we talk about wrestling. The one commodity, a commodity is something kind of like you need to survive or things like that or whatever commodity.
Yeah,
The one commodity in life that's the most important commodity is time. Meaning, once time's gone, you can't get it. We can't get back that 10 seconds ago, right? If you make money and lose it, you can make it back. You cut your hair, you can make it. It'll grow, probably grow back. One thing that once it's gone, like life, once it's gone, it can't come back. Is time. So enjoy the young time while you have it, because once you get to adulthood, there is no summer break, right?
yeah.
But speaking of summer, we got Money in the Bank coming up. We had uh, real quickly. No, we'll get into that in a minute. We'll talk about what's coming up, Money in the Bank. So after Saturday night's main event, it's become apparent we're going instead of having a title match um, at Money in the Bank for either championship, we're going to get John Cena and Logan Paul versus Jay Uso and Cody Rhodes. Uh,
Yeah.
yes. Now, kind of interesting about what he's saying about Logan Paul. Me personally, I'm a little too old school to like Logan Paul. I'm not saying that he's self-made character wise. It's not something I can gravitate to. Um, do you think that having the is that number one? Is that how do you feel about Logan Paul as a wrestler? And if you're on the fence about him, does John Cena kind of put him under the shoulder for a couple matches? Does that change your perspective of Logan Paul?
So I've always loved Logan Paul. I thought because he's obviously great in ring,
Mm.
and I think his promos are pretty good. And like you said, he's self-made. So and I'm not as like I'm sort of like I like Logan Paul a lot. I think his work has been great. The first two matches, the one that he had with the Mysterios and then with the Miz, I was like, okay, whatever. Maybe this is just a two-time thing.
That's what I was thinking as well.
then he had that match with Roman, and I was like, okay, this guy
Yeah.
can go.
Well,
And so
and I thought the thing with Roman I didn't mean to cut you off, and I'll let you get back to your take on it. The thing with Roman, I think one reason why they did that early on with him, and that they went overseas to Saudi Arabia, is because of his. I told people this from the moment they signed him. They wasn't really signing him because you know, he didn't bring anything to the table wrestling wise, right? But when you got 33 million plus followers on social media, yeah, I think we can find something for you, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
Logan Paul, not only Logan but Jake Paul as well, the international following. So putting him in that spot with Roman, and yes, he delivered on his end. Yeah, now I'm obviously OG bloodline, but yeah, he got in. And the other one though, who is it he had the match with at SummerSlam last year? Was that AJ Styles?
LA Knight?
LA Knight. When he did the flip off the
Yeah.
springboard flip. Now,
Crazy.
crazy move. Crazy move for him to do it this early in his training and experience. Not the first time it's been done. There was a super crazy did that back in early his WWE run, move similar to that one time, but not on the magnitude that in stage that Logan Paul did. But go ahead, Drake.
So yeah, so I really liked Logan Paul, and it was like I said, it was that match with Roman that I really I was like, okay, this guy's good. And so then he had that Royal Rumble return where he was like out for only like 3 or 4 months with like torn ACL,
Yeah,
MCL, meniscus, all the knee surgeries that you could possibly think of. And so that was like, okay, he really wants this. He had that great match with Rollins. And I think from there, I was like, okay, I'm sold on this guy. Obviously, he wasn't there every week, but now it seems like he's at
a little
shows a
more.
lot.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
a little bit more involved with the product. Now, I
yeah,
will say this, and I said this last time. I'm a natural heel guy, but it's almost like yeah, he's a heel, but it's almost like he wants Dominic Mysterio heat,
yeah.
and he's not found the way to get it yet. Right? Does that make sense? It's like he wants to tap into that, but there's not much. But now here's the thing. When Cena made the comment Friday night about he's the future. When I'm gone, he'll be the world champion. Could you imagine ruining wrestling?
Hell yeah.
Now you'll have to go back to watch I won't say I guess you could say ramifications of the finger poke of doom. Could you imagine if on live TV, not even pay-per-view, because when the finger poke of doom was done with Hulk Hogan and Kevin Nash in WCW, it was on Nitro. Could you imagine a finger poke of doom where somehow Logan Paul becomes world champion? In wrestling.
From John Cena?
Yes.
No, I don't see
I mean,
it.
I don't want it to happen, but I mean, you want to talk about a ruining wrestling moment.
Yeah, that would definitely ruin wrestling, but I think towards the end of Cena's run, it's gonna like all come full circle that Cena's the GOAT and we're not gonna end his career like that.
No, and exactly. And it was almost like to go back to the Saturday night's main event match with R-Truth, but even take it a step further back to the post-match exit with at Backlash, WrestleMania Backlash against Randy Orton, where he was almost, when he was now pretending to Backlash, where he was looking at the title, and it's almost like they're still telling me they love me. They're telling me thank you. It's almost like buyer's remorse, right? And then you've seen that again against R-Truth, where R-Truth was like, no, don't do that. And he threw the belt down for a second, but then he went for the low blow, right?
Yeah.
At what point in this farewell tour do you think that we might see a turnabout again. Like, I'm leaving as a face, not the beloved. I mean, a beloved. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you think they'll pivot, or do you think we ride this I'm ruining wrestling heel run all the way out?
I don't think we ride it all the way out. I think there's a few people that I think there's probably 3 people I think that could bring Cena back to the like bright side by by turning like so I think Roman Reigns, Randy Orton, and The Rock are the only 3 people that could get the crowd to boo the crap out of him, and then in return get Cena cheered. And I think that one of those 3, I hope it's not The Rock, but I think one of those 3 could definitely be the one to bring Cena back to the bright side by going heel. And like, well, The Rock's already a heel, but like Roman and Randy could
Mhm.
have a heel, like people hate him, and then that would be the
Because to
way.
me, Randy Orton is a better heel than a babyface.
Yeah, oh yeah.
All of his best work was as a heel,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
It's interesting you left CM Punk out of the equation with the history that CM Punk and Cena have. Even this is the only reason I'm pointing to CM Punk in the end. Now, the more that I think of it, because I would have to go look. Let me see while I'm saying this and pull up Cena's schedule, right? And that
Yeah.
is, I believe, one of the last appearances towards the end, right? John Cena's schedule. Let's do it that way.
Yeah, I think he's
Okay.
going.
I want to say one of them last shows. Okay, so SE Scopes. I want to read the right place I'm finding this at. SE Scopes at SEScopes.com. They have John Cena's retirement tour schedule updated. Okay, so we've already gotten May. Okay,
Yeah.
so June we've got Money in the Bank in LA, and I get your predictions on that. Oh, where did it go? Oh, okay, it's the way the thing is loading. Then you got Monday Night Raw in Phoenix, SmackDown in Kentucky, SmackDown in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So July and August are kind of contained together. He's only right now scheduled for one appearance in July, and that's in San Antonio. Then you got SummerSlam. Then they got a Canadian tour. Then they got an overseas tour, and he's scheduled for, let's see, Montreal, Dublin, Ireland, Lyon, France, Paris, France. October. Now he doesn't have anything scheduled for September. Doesn't mean they won't throw nothing in.
Yeah.
October 10th, 11th, and 13th, SmackDown,
West
Crown
Australia.
Jewel, and Raw down in Perth, Australia. To me, if you don't put, how could you not put Rhea Ripley in the main event somehow in her own country?
Oh yeah.
You know, that's the only thing I think where they missed on the point on when they had an elimination chamber in Perth, was she should have walked out champion. She should have been in the chamber match. Anyway.
Oh yeah. I was happy she was in the main event and she beat Nia.
Oh yeah, but I think, could you imagine the lasting image of that pay-per-view should have been Rhea Ripley standing up in the corner holding the women's world championship, right?
Yeah.
That or even the the SmackDown, it's still hard to deviate which one they want to call that with the women's title. But here's the point I brought that schedule up, and the reason why I said CM Punk. It says date to be announced, WWE event, Boston, Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Right. Now, you'll have to go back and YouTube this, and it's some good content for that story of, Punk's contract issue, and God, I can't even forget what year that was, but where he faced Cena at Money in the Bank, right? Contract's up Saturday. I'm beating you, or Sunday, and I'm walking out. Going home with the title. And remember the iconic look on Vince McMahon's face when he actually won,
Yeah.
And here we are thinking it's fan. Now we find out later on that he had inked an extension, a few hours before the show, right? But the image of him leaving and then going home, right? So the build up to that match, their last big interaction was in Boston, right? There was were they in Chicago? So it went like this. It was something like they were in Chicago for this public contract signing between CM Punk and Vince McMahon. And then Cena comes out, and then they get into it, but they alluded, and next week we'll be in Boston, right? That's the only reason I bring up CM Punk to all of that, was seeing that schedule, and it's almost like how fitting that CM Punk boldly, kayfabe predicted, I'm beating you on Sunday, and I'm leaving with the WWE Championship in my hometown, right? Now, how fitting would it be for Cena, and he's been predicting now, but to do it even further and drive it in even further, and that last match be CM Punk, and the last image we walk out. Be interesting. I'd like to still see, I don't know, I'd almost want to see him drop it before he goes, but then here's another thing you want to add to his GOAT status, right? And that is nobody's ever retired as champion. Think about that. The WWE World Title, nobody has ever retired while they still were well. Let me correct that. Let me stop that. Edge retired as world heavyweight champion because of the neck injury. But I get it's hard to say, but as WWE champion, not world heavyweight champion. So technically that statement stands correct. But I don't know. I still see too much foreign sports authority influence that they're going to want to, hey, we want something to happen here too, right? I still think that one of the overseas shows will crown a new champion. And what better way to do it than at the Royal Rumble, right? We'll still wait to see how that happens. Anyway, back to so on to Money in the Bank. Who do we have qualified for? Who is qualified so far?
So qualified so far in the men's Money in the Bank match, you have Solo, LA Knight, Seth Rollins, Penta, Andrade, and then on Monday, tomorrow, it's El Grande Americano versus AJ Styles versus CM Punk. And for the woman, it's Alexa Bliss versus Julia versus Roxanne Perez versus Rhea Ripley versus Naomi versus another qualifying match on Monday is Ivy Nile, Liv Morgan, and Stephanie Valkyrie.
So who do you see? Let's play. Okay, first ask this: who do you see winning that triple threat match between CM Punk and the others?
Okay, so I see definitely. So I have like sort of a special prediction for this one. I see CM Punk winning if it's just a regular match and stuff. But I definitely, my special prediction here, I think that's going to be the main event. And I think throughout the course of the show, something really cool that they can do is have Karrion Kross like wreak havoc and then be like, Pierce, if I'm not in that triple threat match by the end of the night, if you don't make it a fatal four-way, then I'm gonna wreck your whole roster. And he can even say like, if I'm not in that, it's worse for you. The people want me. I'm like the most loved on your roster right now, Pierce.
Man, the most over person on the roster, right?
Mm-hmm.
The most underrated. That's for excuse my language. That's for damn sure. Yeah, I love that idea. I love how somehow Karrion Kross is already a legit real life badass, right? They need to, and that's the the transformation of his character now from, say, Killer Cross, when he first got to NXT, bald headed and all that.
Yeah.
This version I am so in love with, because it's like all you're doing is giving. He's not an ordinary Joe, but it's like he's not playing a character in this version of himself. He's himself.
Yeah.
And had the honor and distinct privilege of catching part of Josh Barnett's Bloodsport of his match at WrestleMania. Legit badass, and I agree. That was. How do you not have Karrion Kross somewhere on your program at WrestleMania in his hometown?
Yeah, seriously.
I don't care if it's, hey, he comes out and announces the attendance, right?
Yeah. How
do you not get that pop? I think they're playing with fire as far, let me re-say it like this. Management-wise, I think they're playing with fire by ignoring him. Not really ignoring him, but lack of push. Because, and you'll realize this as you get older, Drake. Wrestling fans are creatures of nature. Meaning, if you create a big enough following, doesn't matter what company you work for, they're going to follow you.
Mm-hmm.
Case in point, well, Hulk Hogan's a prime example. I mean, nobody thought, oh, go to WCW. Now, this is back in 94. It's not going to work. And look what happened. CM Punk behind the whole thing. Even if none of the other shenanigans of him leaving happened afterwards, the interview with Colt Cabana and the constant bashing WWE in the social media and in the media, granted justified, ample reason to, but if it had just kept quiet, and then all of a sudden, things with AEW, when he first went to AEW happened, it still has the biggest impact, right?
Yeah.
Because he has the following.
Yeah. And
so I say that because I have a feeling that if they don't do something with him, he's going to take all this steam and momentum and he's going to go down to Jacksonville, Florida.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is he said in an interview something about his contract being up towards the end of the year or something. So I think WWE needs to get going now, try and build him up and keep him. And if not, then he'll end up in AEW, I think, and he'll definitely be one of the top stars.
It'll move that needle.
Maybe this is a type of story like Cody Rhodes. If he leaves, goes to AEW, and then comes back and becomes the biggest star in the company.
Yeah.
Just going to throw that out there.
Well, and not only that, or he not only just leaving the company, but taking the Matt Cardona route. Look what happened with Matt Cardona. When as Zack Ryder, it was a comical character at best, right? Could never get away. Him and Kurt Hawkins both couldn't shake the stigmata of being the Edge. Because remember, when they first come on the scene in WWE, they were the Edge clones, right? Could you imagine? You just got to visualize Matt Cardona with hair as long all the way down his back, like long hair like Edge. But that's how they came to the WWE.
Yeah.
But look at Cardona. Now, Cardona in Cardona's aspect is just like Karrion Kross. He's bet on himself, and he got successful at it. And sometimes the machine hates that because they can't take credit for creating you because you created yourself. But so I would love to see that, and not only to take it one step further and CM Punk guy to heart. But it's almost like if CM Punk wins it, we know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right? We know against who. Right? Mm-hmm. I think with Karrion Kross, because he's such an anomaly on in the main events layer, right? As far as he doesn't have a deep history with this. We haven't seen that. So it's not like who's he going to cash in on? It's like if CM Punk wins it, he's cashing in on Cody, and that's all, or not Cody, but John Cena, and that's it. right?
Well, yeah, I'm not necessarily saying CM Punk win the Money in the Bank ladder match. I'm just saying the qualifier match.
Oh yeah, but I'm just saying if he wins the qualifying match, he's in there. But I still think if he wins the qualifying match, if they're gonna do something with Karrion Kross, he gets his way into that match. When it kicks off there in your hometown, what is it, next week?
Yeah.
Yep,
Next week, Money in the Bank.
Yep. When it kicks off, I think even if he doesn't win it, somehow they need to have Karrion Kross in that match.
Oh, yeah.
Hold up. Who else did you say men-wise was in there?
AJ Styles and El Grande. Are you talking about
the triple threat? But the
okay,
qualifier.
the actual match is Solo, LA Knight, Seth Rollins, Penta, and Andrade.
Okay, let's play devil's advocate here. CM Punk wins. They even put Karrion Kross either or. Let me erase that. So Karrion Kross, like you said, is doing whatever he can do the night before the petition to be in the match. Doesn't happen. Or even if it does, end of the night, that CM Punk wins the qualifier, right? So now, like you just said, the names that you mentioned, the two, and this isn't a disrespect to them, but when I'm looking at all participants, Andrade and Penta are the odd two out, right? What if Karrion Kross violently, viciously attacks Andrade before Money in the Bank? Like before they go on the air.
Yeah.
Now I'm a guy short. I got to put you in now. What if it happens? So that would still be cool. Either way, I'm a Karrion Kross. I'm a Karrion Kross guy. I liked him in NXT. Like him more now. I think the long hair character appearance fits him more. Kind of opposite of Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin first come on the scene. He had kind of the growing bald and long hair. I think that the bald headed part fit him more. But we'll see going forward. Now, as far as the women,
can I say one more thing about the men's and Karrion Kross real quick?
Oh, go ahead.
So if Kross, what if you have on Raw, whoever wins, maybe like CM Punk or somebody wins the match, the qualifying match, and Kross just wreaks havoc on them for the whole time. So they announce a last chance qualifier on SmackDown, and that's how Kross gets in.
That would still be intriguing. And to me, it's done differently now because of the streaming. But if I was on the fence, do I want to shell out this money for a pay-per-view, right? Like we used to do, had to actually buy each one.
Yeah.
Something like that would tilt me. If I was on the fence, do I buy or do I not? Do I skip this one? That right there would put me over. Yeah, let's buy it.
Yeah.
So that right there would be the tip of the cap there, or the tip of the scale. Now, who did you say women-wise had already qualified? Because my next point.
Already qualified is Alexa Bliss, Naomi, Rhea Ripley, and Roxanne Perez.
Okay. You know who's
and Julia.
The thing, I'm wondering what they're doing with Jade, Naomi, Bianca, because I still think we got more to that story as far as who was really involved, right? As far as they're going to do this, because hey, look at this. Now, the most famous car accident in wrestling history on TV, Stone Cold being taken out, right? Now, and it was revealed it was Rikishi, right? Did it for The Rock. Hold up. I did it for The Rock.
I did it for The Rock.
Hey, that was so funny watching that in real time. But, right? It wasn't until after WrestleMania 17, right? The matter of fact, the Monday night after, the Raw after, right? WrestleMania 17, that it was revealed that Triple H is the one that commandeered Rikishi to go do that, right? After, hey, I didn't have no. Now, fast forward to now, Bianca is swore off. I wasn't involved in none of it. I wasn't involved in
Yeah.
none of it. Because think about this. No disrespect to Naomi and anything she's done in the ring or out of the ring. Awesome talent. I'm sure probably an even better human being. But it almost seems like she's got the Rikishi role to prolong the wait for Jade Bianca. What are your
Yeah.
takes on that?
So I
Because
think,
look at the money, women's Money in the Bank match. You don't have either one of those. You don't have Jade or Bianca.
yeah. So I think I think you're correct on that. Naomi's sort of like the Rakishi in this situation, but I think the way to sort of get her out of that and get them all as equals would be Naomi wins the Money in the Bank. So
Yeah.
I think she is going to win the Money in the Bank. And just imagine this, maybe WrestleMania, or maybe it's even the Royal Rumble, where you have maybe this, so say, okay, Royal Rumble, Saudi Arabia, this starts off the show. You
Uh-huh.
have Jade Cargill is the women's champion, and
Mhm.
she defends against Bianca, or vice versa.
Yeah.
So let's say Jade goes in as champion. She's defending against Bianca, and Bianca wins the title. And then Bianca goes and gets cashed in on by Naomi, or it's a mid-match cash in. Anyway, Naomi wins. Naomi wins the championship, and then either Jade or Bianca goes up and wins the Royal Rumble, and then you have the other person, probably Jade wins the Rumble. Bianca has to go through like a gauntlet of women's wrestlers on the build up to WrestleMania, and then that makes it a triple threat, and we finally get the big three triple threat
Yeah.
at WrestleMania.
And that would be awesome. An awesome way to do it, and an awesome way to drag it out, and yet still make people interested in it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Even way, because I'll be honest with you, when excuse me, when the thing happened with Stone Cold Steve Austin, and then once he came back, and then it's into the story of who ran him over, right? Once it was revealed Rikishi's the one that did it, right? Honest to God. Now, mind you, we didn't have social media and chat rooms and live streams and things like we do now, where fans can conversate like this all the time. But me personally, after Rikishi was revealed and they did the six-pack challenge inside Hell in a Cell, I literally lost interest on who ran Steve Austin over and why, until they revealed later on, oh, wait a minute, it was me, Austin. Whoa, because the history was already there between Triple H and Stone Cold, right? And
Yeah.
I don't know. I just hope that they keep it an interest. If they're going to drag it out, which is fine, just keep us interested enough to where when they do get to the money part, we're not like, oh, this again. It's like, oh, I can't freaking wait. Let's go. Once you see that that's where they're going with it. So I think that'll be pretty interesting. Another thing, I didn't notice if they got announced. Are they doing anything tag team wise at Money in the Bank?
Cena and
No, besides that, I'm talking like between DIY, Motor City Machine Guns,
No.
Faxium. Because I thought that was an awesome segment on SmackDown.
Yeah.
With the Wyatt Six. Because here's what I think. Wyatt Six, and this will kind of segue into some AEW talk, right? This time around, for the Wyatt Six to be taken seriously and not more of a feel-good one-off because of Bray Wyatt, they need to do some shit like they did Friday night, right?
Yeah.
Vice versa, flip the channel to AEW. For the Hurt Syndicate to be taken seriously, the Hurt Syndicate is going to have to do something like the Wyatt Six just did.
Yeah.
But the only way it works for the Hurt Syndicate, because of who they are and their stature already, there's only one thing they can go after, and that's the Death Riders.
Yeah.
I think with all that going on in AEW, which is where we're going now, I think all of that going on in AEW, that would make for some compelling television. Because what did you think about, switch to AEW, what did you think about the opening promo segment between Will Ospreay and Hangman Adam Page and Swerve Strickland?
Man, I really liked it, and I think it's gonna play out as a really good story in the future, like with Will Ospreay sort of being the voice of reason for Hangman and Swerve to come together. The thing with the Hurt Syndicate, I just don't think that. I think like it's Hangman is facing John Moxley, and he's like homegrown AEW.
Yep.
I think that's the type of person that needs to take out the Death Riders. And I think it's perfect with like Swerve, and even though Osprey isn't like homegrown AEW, just seems like
He's never been to WWE, so he's considered, he's in that class, right?
Yeah, yep. And I like the segment, and I think it's gonna be a great match. I think it'll definitely be one of those usual Death Riders matches where there's a million interferences.
Yeah.
But I do think that it's All In. It's their biggest show. They're going up against WWE. Got to do something big. I think this is finally the time where John Moxley drops the title.
Oh, absolutely.
Briefcase, and they take out the title.
Yeah. Now, can't remember. When did they do the Casino Battle Royale?
Like,
Did they do that before All In?
Last year?
Yeah.
Last year
where the winner gets basically like a Money in the Bank type.
Yeah, so when Christian won it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was at All In. That was
it was at All In.
Yeah, that was at All In. It was where Ricochet debuted. They almost had the Luchasaurus, the kill switch turn, and then Christian ended up winning. They faked everybody out, and yeah.
Yeah. I was just thinking, because here's what I think, and I'm still clinging to this. I'm not saying sentimental, and you brought up homegrown. And yes, Hangman Adam Page is homegrown. But now, like I said, there's a lot of other factors for this to like physically happen. And matter of fact, I'm going to look that up while I'm saying this, is I still think that Darby Allin, right,
win the gauntlet.
To be, whether it be the gauntlet, I don't care how you get there. Really, I don't care if you say, you know what, whoever, main event, Hangman Page. I don't do it if it's Hangman Page, right? But if you're going to be like, hold up, we want to use Page, but let's go this way a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to pull this up here.
Yeah, and while you're doing that, I mentioned that to Dave, Tommy, and Thunder on Busted Open a couple weeks ago, is what if Darby wins a Casino Gauntlet on the day of the on All In, at All In, and then later in the night cashes in. And yeah, I think that could be really good. Even maybe if you had it the week or like a couple months after the All In schedule usually in August. Now it's in July. It's got me thrown off. But
Yeah.
They did it like at All Out or something where Darby announces a cash in and you have that. But I think it might just be too long of a wait. Like, 'cause AEW fans are getting and all the fans are getting really sick of the Death Riders. So I think we need to take it away.
It's almost, and I might be unpopular in this, it's almost like the Death Riders, they come off of wanting to be like the Bloodline, obviously.
Yeah.
Somewhat.
Yeah, I think Tony Khan wanted his Bloodline.
But the thing is people dislike are starting to dislike them the way, after 1,316 days, I was still vested, obviously, but I'm not the only wrestling fan in the world, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the collective agreement. Yeah. Love them or hate them, even if you loved them in the beginning, it's like, okay, now let's because AEW, they don't, and it's not a knock, I guess. I'm not a hater of AEW when I say this, but they like to they don't like to draw their stories out, right? It's kind of like, let's hit it while it's hot and go, and then move on to the next, right? Where there's certain times where you hit it while it's hot, you can keep hitting it, it's still hot, right? But I think so. I pulled this up, and I want to read this. Don't take too much stock into it because it comes from Dave Meltzer and his buddy Brian Alvarez. But it says former two-time TNT champion Darby Allin completed the accomplishment of a lifetime when he successfully completed the Mount Everest climb over the weekend. But now, the question of AEW fans' mind is exactly when is the star going to return to the ring, right? Okay, Meltzer and Alvarez discussed Allen's return on Wrestling Observer Radio on Monday, and Meltzer said to expect him back this summer. Okay. Now, right here, and this is why I say this and why I bring all of this up to, it says he should probably be back relatively soon. It won't be right away, but probably within a few weeks. I mean, I had heard that like July 12th, which is All In, was touch and go. I wouldn't expect him necessarily much before that, obviously. So probably July, but we'll see. And it says fans have been curious about Allen's status since before he started up Everest back when AEW Jon Moxley, surprisingly to some, retained his title over Swerve Strickland at Dynasty in April. Many fans believe it will be Allen to dethrone the leader of the Death Rider when he comes back. Now, like I said, All In is their WrestleMania. It's their Super Bowl.
Yep.
With all of that, and we just hit up about homegrown talent. What better? And like I said, I don't care how we get them there, but I still think, and especially now after he successfully climbed Mount Everest and like literally put the AEW flag on the toppest point of Earth, right? The civilized places we can climb and get to.
Yeah.
How do you not have him the face of your company at the end of All In?
Well, yeah.
What I mean is at the end, regardless, even if Hangman, what if this? Let's just say this: you got a one-on-one match with Hangman Adam Page, right? But then there's some fine line that nobody knows about. That I had to steal this from Tony Storm. Anthony Khan didn't tell nobody about that. This one-on-one match just now became a triple threat. What was who? And out comes Darby Allin. Why? Because he didn't think that Page could get it done to get it off of him. Either way, I still think at the end of All In, when them credits go to roll, Darby Allin needs to be standing on top of Globe Life Field. You're a baseball guy. Have you ever seen that stadium?
Yep.
So you know it's got the open roof.
Yeah.
With the train trolley that runs, right? What better ending image than the top of Globe Life Field? Darby Allin, who just successfully climbed Mount Everest, is standing there with the AEW World Championship.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because it attracts eyes. The reason why I say that, even if you don't do that, you got, as soon as he comes back, you have to put him in the main event picture somehow, some way. Because he's going to bring eyes to your product that followed him, that don't know nothing about wrestling, but they're, I guess, what would you classify mountain climbing as? Extreme sports, right? I guess. Those people that are into that, he's going to bring some of them to watch your product. I still think money-wise, like we said, why it's hot, Darby Allin.
Yeah. So I think you've got Hangman. We're building the story with Swerve, Hangman, and Will Ospreay. So I don't think you can go back on that now.
That is true.
Darby Allin did climb Mount Everest. He put the AEW flag on there, but I think if you just have him come back, like there's got to be a reason for him to come back and a reason because obviously you could have all the new fans come in and that's the big like Darby Allin attracting new viewers, but
Mhm.
like I think it would have to be down the line because the other thing is, yeah, Darby gets the title. He has the big moment. He's standing on Globe Life Field with the title. So now what does he do with the title?
Yeah,
I think
it's almost like yes. That's a
Hangman
good
can
point.
definitely carry on the title and have a great reign with the championship. But can Darby do that? We don't
Yeah,
know yet. So I think you got to be safe with
that's
can't just throw out a Hail Mary because you don't know if the guy's gonna catch it or not.
yeah, because not everybody plays for the Dallas Cowboys that can catch those. I'm a Cowboys fan, so I had to throw the Cowboys reference in there. But no, great point on that because it's just like Cody Rhodes. Once Cody finished the story, it's the excitement wasn't after, it was the buildup. Now what do we do? Great point. Great point. Because I'm trying to think of other than Moxley and the Death Riders, anybody else right now involved main event scene, Swerve, Hangman Page, to an extent Samoa Joe. Darby doesn't have negative interaction with them. Never had a feud with any of
They
them.
did take him out.
Well, but I know, but they, where it's like we were talking about who, is out there to face, Cena or like when Cody won. Okay, after they run it back with Roman, obviously we want to see him and Randy, but what's next?
Yeah.
I think that would happen exactly with Darby Allin too. That is a good point, a real good point. So who do you take? And I know we still got a little bit of ways away, but if it's obviously it's going to be Hangman Page and John Moxley, what do we do with Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay?
Man, that's a tough one because you can go a lot of different ways here. And I think obviously the Death Riders could have a tag team match, but I don't think that's big enough for two of the top stars in the company in Osprey and Swerve. I think they have to have like some high profile matches, and maybe you even have I don't know this just a shot in the dark if you have what you got Yura, Cesaro, Claudio, and Pac.
I know I
Right?
still call him Cesaro too.
Yeah, yeah, they're like the guys in the Death Riders, the three aside from Moxley,
Yeah.
and maybe you add Marina and you have Willow on the other side. What if you got
Some type of that?
Yeah, so you got Marina Shafir, Claudio, Yuta, and Pac against Swerve, Willow, Osprey, and stay with me here. What if Bryan Danielson comes back for one match?
There you go.
And maybe you have that open up the show, have them take out the Death Riders so there's no involvement with the main event. You can have a bunch of the AEW roster that's been trying to take out the Death Riders, like surround the ring in the main event, like sort of, or maybe just like out in the stadium so there's no involvement of the Death Riders.
Yep.
And that's how Hangman gets it done. You take out Moxley and then you take the title out of the briefcase.
I love that. I love that take. I love if I wasn't, if I was new to the AEW product and never watched them before, right?
Yeah.
And I heard that take, that would make me want to tune in. Well, hold on. That'd make me want to tune in on Wednesday, Saturday. I like that. Everything with AEW, and like I said, I'm not a hater. I don't want nobody to watching this or ever watch construed it as being a hater.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still on the fence. It's like, okay, we've been here before with you guys, right? And then you guys have quote unquote shit the bed, and I lose. You didn't keep my interest. With this right now, with what they got going on with the Death Riders, the intrigue about Darby Allin, we haven't brought up, but the women they're clicking on, all cylinders right now. And then, like I said that about the Wyatt Six, the Hurt Syndicate for them to be taken seriously. If we have to wait till after All In so they don't disrupt any other programs, they're going to have to do something in AEW a la the Wyatt Six to be taken seriously. Because if not, it almost looks like a mini program to set up a split either between Shelton and Bobby, or where they all jump on Max, something of that nature, right? Then it kind of falls to the back burner. So I agree with everything you got going on the cup there. So with that being said, let's just say with what we got right now, that means no Darby Allin, no Bryan Danielson.
Yep.
What you've been seeing right now, who walks out All In AEW World Champion?
Hangman. Adam Page. Definitely, I think.
Definitely Adam Page. Okay, we're going with that. I would say I would agree with you. Same thing. Just because even if they do the sympathy thing, kind of like, obviously, quote unquote, like a story, like a Cody. But I think with putting Page in there versus, like I said, like I wanted Darby Allin, but you made up a good point. There's a lot of, here's where we can go. Here's where we can go. There's where, see what I mean? There's more than one. There's more than one street to get to the house with Hangman Page. So I agree with that one. Well, let's see here. What else do we got coming up? Okay, we got All In coming up. We talked about some real quickly. As reported earlier, actually, I seen it this morning and thought it was BS. And the only reason I thought it was BS was because of who it was. It's like, okay, hold up. This was totally left field. Yes, the greatest and most prestigious WWE 24/7 champion of all time has called it quits.
Can I do it real quick?
Go ahead and take it away, Drake.
The 24/7, 48/7, I-95 South European champion, R-Truth.
Ron the Truth Killings. Ladies and gentlemen, surprisingly, shockingly, announce his some people say release, some people retirement, right? Okay, I'm pull up a few things. I've got a news article by SB Nation. It says R-Truth, a long-tenured WWE veteran and eccentric TV character who recently, as of last Saturday night, faced John Cena, is finished with the company. Truth, whose real name is Ron Killings, announced his release in a social media post late Sunday morning. I'm sorry to inform you all, I just got released from WWE. I want to thank all WWE for the ride, but mostly I want to thank each and every one of you who was along for the ride with me. Thank you for all the love, support, appreciation you have given me over the years. Thank you. Right? Okay. Here's where at first I almost called BS on it, right? Lo and behold, Uncle Mark Henry, right? You remember the pink jacket, right? You remember how that started? That started with a tweet and a picture, right?
Yeah.
Snowballed into that. Okay. Obviously, we knew that Mark wasn't retiring. Still one of the greatest heel to earn segments in Monday Night Raw history. Could be even one of the top 5, top 10 definitely of all time, period. So that's why I called that on that. And I'm like, okay, yeah, right. We're going to get Truth's going to come out on Monday Night Raw and we're going to get another pink jacket moment, right? So then after doing some, honey-do list stuff around the house, I got back on before we got on this. I'm like, I actually looked it up. I'm like, oh, okay. So then I pulled up Wikipedia. Now I all news socials that I've come across about this is yes, but they say released.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I spoke with you about this, and your mom, I believe, worked for ESPN before. But ask your mom and dad what the difference between contract expiring and being released, right? A lot of people, especially the IWC, and for those of you that don't know what that is, that's the internet wrestling community. When they hear the word release, they think that they were fired. right?
Yeah.
If your contract is up, and I say, Drake, July 1st, your contract is up, or June 30th, right? And then you come to me and you say, David, thank you for the experience, the opportunity, but I'm not going to renew it. Are you being released? No, you're choosing not to renew your contract.
Well,
Whereas if you just signed a 5-year contract in March and here it comes May 1st, hey, Drake, sorry, budget cuts, got to go, kid. Best of luck on your future endeavors, right? That's being released. Braun Strowman, released. Dakota Kai, released. Sonya Deville, her contract expired. She actually went on social media and explained, I was not released. My contract, we chose not to renew it. So that was what it is. Now, speculation on what he does next year. He's been there this run. He's been there 17 years. Definitely a long time. Definitely, I'll say this. His WWE run, he was never taken serious enough to be that guy, right? To hold not only the prestigious 24/7 championship that you got, but maybe one of the other big guys, right? But I will say this, whatever they asked him to do, he did it and did it with class and without, you didn't see him running. I don't think I've ever, I could be wrong, seen or heard of him going to social media to talk about things that he don't like what's going on backstage, whether it be creative. He never heard him publicly give his opinion on the Vince McMahon thing, right? Point is, a model employee. But I do want to read off some of his, a lot of people only think about the 24/7 championship, right? But, he debuted in 1997, right? And was trained by George South, Manny Fernandez, and the Italian Stallions. For those of you, R-Truth is originally from Charlotte, North Carolina. Well, billed from Charlotte. Let's see. Yeah, he is from Charlotte. Sometimes you're billed, I'm billing Drake from LA, but hey, he actually lives here, right? Type thing. But the guys that trained him were Jim Crockett Promotion guys, Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling. Guys I grew up watching as a kid. I just had his career accomplishments pulled up. Oh, that's the only thing I don't like about Wikipedia on the computer version versus, say, iPad. Most notably, and this is what I want to end, and this is not a. So the National Wrestling Alliance, when TNA first started, they were known as NWA TNA, right? And which meant they were TNA, but in the NWA for title wise. Anyway, Ron the Truth Killings was the first African American to win the NWA World Heavyweight title, and he did it on 2 occasions. And to do that, now granted, a lot of wrestling purists and old school and old heads, such as myself, right, might look at that and say, yeah, but it wasn't the NWA that Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes. Same NWA, you just didn't have the same players, right? But I think that was an awesome moment for him personally. And then, still coming back. I mean, still had main event matches. Like I said, did everything that, if they needed a comedic segment, hey, Truth, he's going to go out there and hit it out the park. One thing I did wish we would have seen last Saturday night, where's little Jimmy been?
Yeah.
That should have been, hey, that would have been so funny, right? To do a little Jimmy skit in the middle of the match with Cena, and have Cena looking at him like, what? But either way, if it's real, well, with wrestling, you never know that's the way they want it. You never know what's real and what's not, what's towing the line. Either way, if it is real, hats off to Ron Killings. Awesome career. had a few interactions with him here in Wichita. Not like, hey, how you doing, but just interactions at the arena when WWE would be in town. He was never one to shy away from the fans. Case in point, what year? I forget what year it was. But it was a SmackDown here in Wichita. He was there to go out to the smoking pit area. Obviously the public come out this door, but if you're, say, where the talent and they're at, there's a separate door, but it comes out to the same area. Referee Mike Chioda and somebody else, suit on, was having a cigarette before the show started, and R-Truth come out there to get Mike Chioda for something. Fans noticed R-Truth. Instead of him saying, "Hey, I gotta go, I'm busy," he stopped and took the time to sign autographs and take pictures inside that smoking pit area with all the fans that were there. We're talking like the show goes on in like 45 minutes, right? Who does that, right? Especially in this day and age. So to me, as a fan, and not only as a fan, but as a parent and grandparent, watching what the excitement of meeting, seeing my oldest son when he was younger, meeting Rey Mysterio, right? And then not only did he meet Rey Mysterio, he met him without his mask. And he met him without his mask with about a 12-year-old Dominic sitting in the front seat, right? I'll tell that story right quick. So we have an arena here in Wichita called Intrust Bank Arena. Intrust Bank is the sponsor. It'd be like somebody buying the naming rights to the Intuit Dome, right?
Yeah.
But the very first wrestling show was a SmackDown, right? And this was right at the time that he's feuding with CM Punk and the Straight Edge Society. And I remember those episodes when he had Dominic with him and Aaliyah with him.
Yep.
Okay. He was his rental car was a badass Bumblebee yellow Camaro, right? And him, Aaliyah, and Dominic were all three there. They were one of the last ones to come out. Now, where we were standing by the sidewalk and the edge of the parking lot in the street, we were actually at that point waiting on my wife to pull down the street to pick us up. And I could tell it was Rey Mysterio in his car because the crowd that was before us, what they were saying. And then he's like, "Daddy, should we run down there?" I said, "He'll probably be pulling off by the time we get down there." He's like, "Do you think he'll stop?" I said, "I don't know." Now, like I said, my son, diehard Rey Mysterio, had the mask on. This man, after stopping to a crowd with his own kids in the car and stopping to a crowd of about 100 people, stops at us at the end after all of that because Jordan had the mask on. The window comes down and you see the hand come out like this. He said, "Come here." Said whatever he says to them in Spanish, right? Grabbed his head, did that. And then, of course, Jordan's like, right? And he said, "Would you sign my mask?" And he signed it. And then, just telling Dominic and them hi. And then he's like, he said, "Listen to your parents to be good in school." And he goes, "Oh, by the way, don't tell nobody you ever see me without my mask." Right? Dude, class act, right? I put Ron Killings up in that, echelon like that.
Yeah.
So now I will say this. Like I said, we'll see what happens tomorrow night. We'll see what happens Friday night. And we'll definitely see what happens at Money in the Bank. Before I say, okay, Ron Killings is really done, right? Because I also have that feeling a little bit that we're going to see, "Oh, man, I'm sorry. I meant to post that in 10 years. You know what I mean? Like, that was supposed to be saved as a draft and pulled back out in a few years. It's who knows? But like I said, if he's done, he's earned his time, right? Earned his time. Well, Drake, we got the predictions for, some early predictions for Money in the Bank, even earlier predictions for All In. No better way to end this day. But real quickly, tell people where you're from.
I'm from Los Angeles, California.
And how do we exit? We got what?
Got
one word.
4 letters. Ready? Wait for it.
Wait for it. Uh-oh, get the glasses, get the glasses. Uh-oh, slow rise, slow rise.
I'm gonna do his lately what he's been doing lately, the screaming method, the 4 letters, 1 word,
Yeet.
yeah.
All right, Drake. Hey, till next time, buddy, man, it's been a pleasure. Hang on after the outro. I want to speak with you
Yep.
right quick. Hey, stay safe, listen to your parents, always do good in school, and always be kind. Hey, y'all, it's been lovely. Peace. We gotta go.